Alright, I'd just like to take a moment to demonstrate the controller support in my Garry's Mod Monkey Ball game mode. Oopsie. I've managed to get it completely working so that even as a server owner, you don't need anything installed for it to just work natively. It makes use of the actual controller that you have plugged in just through the Source Engine joypad system. It should work natively with any Xbox controller, and for any other controller, there are configs and programs you can use to set it up within Garry's Mod. And it should just work natively without really any issues. You might have to adjust a few settings in order to get it functioning with analog input. And it's still not perfect in the sense that it can be rather difficult to perform extreme precise movements. But it should be a massive step up from using a keyboard in this game mode. I'm personally using a GameCube controller since it has notches straight forward to the sides, etc., which makes it exceptionally easy to just go straight forward. Oopsie. Oh, good God. I've also added a kind of mouse-controlled joypad where you use your mouse exclusively. It's a little bit broken right now since I have my controller plugged in, but you can have a fake joystick controlled exclusively by your mouse if you prefer to use that over WASD. And I'll be fixing that right after the video. Now, I should also mention that this game mode has full multiplayer support at the time being. I'm just testing all of these. I'm recording most of these test videos entirely by myself. But it does have full multiplayer support, and with a powerful enough server, you should be able to reach up to about 8 players before experiencing any performance issues. With the specifically because of the way that I load in and generate stage collision, it is a rather intensive game mode to run, computationally speaking. However, as a result of that same system that I use to load in stages, it's very easy to create and import new ones. All you need to know is really any 3D modeling software that can export an OBJ file, and an upload file service like catbox.moe, which is what I personally use. You don't need to include stages with your server downloads or with the content add-on. All you need to do is create a config file for a stage that links to the individual pieces that that stage consists of, as well as a ball spawn location and locations for any goals. I've also got an in-game system for administrators to use for placing game objects, like the melons. We'll soon be making it so you can place goals as well, so that you don't actually need to handwrite any level configs. You can do it all in-game once you've got your level object in. Another great thing about the way that I handle detecting goals in this game is that regardless of how fast you might be traveling, a goal should always be registered as long as you travel through the goal. Surprised I got that first try. Pretty much everything that you're seeing here is done completely dynamically. The level spin-in cam simply determines the boundaries of the level by its collision. You can also change how long the level spin-in animation lasts for, so if you prefer not to, you know, wait 5 or 6 seconds to begin each level, you can set it to 1 or 2 seconds, or in fact you could even set it to 0 and just have it start immediately. Right now, there's only one potential set of levels that you can play, without really any way for in-game players to be able to control what set of levels they play. But soon I will be adding a system that allows you to specify several sets of levels, and provide a mechanism for players to vote on which set that they would like to play. That way you could have various difficulties. You could have a beginner, an advanced, an expert, or, you know, any kind of arbitrary scaling that you want. You don't even have to necessarily sort them by difficulty. Shit. Barely made it. I've also got a system for dynamically adjusting what materials a stage uses. So, right now I've got one set of materials that is used by the game. And you can change those materials really easily in the level object entity. I intend to make it so that there are different sets of materials used for different worlds, depending on what world is set to be used at any particular point in time. And because every single stage has a common set of material names, you could actually load one stage in 2 different worlds with 2 different sets of materials, and it'll automatically adjust those materials so that the stage fits the aesthetic of the new world. Because, for instance, all of the floor here is just a material named check. All of this wood is just a material named fill. All the other various textures are just called detail textures. And every single world will have their own set of materials, or textures, for each of these material names. I do have other objects, such as bumpers and wormholes in the work. I don't have any levels that make use of them quite yet. But adding them in is really just as easy as you would add in melons. I keep wanting to call them bananas, but they're not bananas. Ah, shit. Ah! Ugh. Barely made that. You can also adjust a few different things about the camera in this game. For instance, if you want a more distant camera, or a camera that's placed further up. Those are options you have available to you. So maybe you prefer to have a very distant camera, like this. I don't know why you would want this, but it's an option that you have. And of course, you could also go for zero distance and get a kind of first-person camera, which I actually haven't tried yet, so I don't know what it'll feel like. I imagine it's going to be bizarre, though. Ugh. up. Yikes. Don't know how I feel about that. Of course, you can also adjust the intensity with which the level tilts whenever you move the ball. Just whatever feels nicest to you. My default that I've set on the server is 0.15, though I personally prefer 2. And you might prefer to have 0 level tilt. It might give you motion sickness to some extent. That's fine too. I haven't shown it in this video because at the current moment it's broken and I'm not entirely sure why, because it was working just fine yesterday. But I do have animated levels, that is to say levels which, you know, actually move, as opposed to everything we've played so far where there are no moving components. I do have levels with animation, and I intend soon to add a lot more. Not just original stages, but also ports from Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2. At the moment, I don't have support for the mechanics seen in Super Monkey Ball 2, where there are buttons which control the animation speed, the playback speed. I'm not sure if I want to add them, just because through the nature of multiplayer games and Gary's mod, people do like to troll. And if you have a part of the stage that moves and you have a button that makes it move faster suddenly, inevitably some troll is gonna wait for everybody to get onto the stage and hit the button in order to make everybody fly off. And maybe that'll be fun, maybe it'll be shitty. You can only really find out through playtesting. Oh my goodness. There we go. Once I feel that this game mode is in a decent state that I'm really happy with, I'm probably going to release it publicly for anybody to run on this server if they so please. I was hesitant about it at first because I didn't want people to run the game mode and change the settings to make it overly easy, because I feel like part of what makes this game what it is its extraordinary difficulty. You know, and I've gone through great lengths to try and replicate the physics of the original games as accurately as I could without reverse engineering the physics completely by myself, which is something that I could do and something I've considered, but it's close enough that I'm happy with it. Anyways, that's about it. Thanks for watching.